EU imposes a 35.3% tax on Chinese electric cars. Beijing immediately retaliates. The European Union's decision to impose tariffs of up to 35.3% on Chinese electric vehicles has angered Beijing after an investigation found that Chinese government subsidies have undermined Europe's auto industry. China slammed the EU's decision on Wednesday, October 30th, saying it does not agree with or accept the ruling and has filed a complaint under the World Trade Organization's WTO dispute settlement mechanism. China will take all necessary measures to firmly safeguard the legitimate rights and interests of Chinese companies, China's Ministry of Commerce said in a statement. The EU's official gazette published the decision on Chinese electric vehicle tariffs on Tuesday, making it formally law and taking effect the next day. The tariff measures will last for 5 years. These are proportionate and targeted measures taken after a rigorous investigation to safeguard fair market practices and Europe's industrial base. EU Trade Commissioner Valdis Dombrovskis, Executive Vice President of the European Commission, said on Tuesday, "We welcome competition, including in electric vehicles, but it must be based on a level playing field," he added. The tariffs will be on top of the existing 10% import tax on electric vehicles and will eventually reach a maximum of 45.3% after adding up general tariffs. Specifically, the EU's tariffs on Chinese manufacturers are 17% for BYD, 18.8% for Geely, and 35.3% for China's state-owned SAIC. Geely owns brands such as Polestar and Sweden's Volvo, while SAIC owns Britain's MG, one of Europe's best-selling electric car brands. The additional tariffs also apply to cars made in China by foreign companies, such as Tesla, which faces a 7.8% tariff. The tariff measures were voted on earlier this month, with 10 countries in favor, 5 against, and 12 abstentions. Germany and Hungary strongly opposed it, fearing that it would anger China and trigger a fierce trade war. France welcomed the EU's decision. The CCP took the opportunity to take retaliatory actions. Reuters reported that Beijing has ordered Chinese automakers to stop investing in European countries that support the imposition of additional tariffs in order to further divide Europe. On October 8th, China announced that it would impose high deposits on EU brandy imports and also launched anti-subsidy and anti-dumping investigations into EU dairy and pork products. The trade tensions between China and Europe are not limited to electric vehicles. Brussels is also investigating China's subsidies for solar panels and wind turbines. In addition, Canada and the United States have recently imposed tariffs of up to 100% on Chinese electric vehicles, indicating that Western countries are jointly pressuring China's auto industry. China-South Korea technology war intensifies. China arrests South Korean chip engineer. Chinese authorities confirmed on Tuesday, October 29th, that they had detained a South Korean chip engineer on charges of espionage. The move intensified the technology war between China and South Korea over the key semiconductor industry. Yonhap news agency quoted diplomats as saying that the engineer, A, is in his 50s and lives in Hefei, Anhui Province, China. He was arrested in December last year. Major Chinese chip companies such as Changshin Storage Technology are headquartered in Hefei. Yonhap news agency reported that A had worked at a Chinese semiconductor company. The Chinese investigation department believes that A leaked the company's semiconductor-related secrets to South Korea. Yonhap news agency and Chosun Ilbo reported that the man was an employee of Samsung Electronics. Lin Jian, a spokesman for the Chinese Foreign Ministry, confirmed the news at a regular press conference, but he did not disclose details. Lin Jian added that the South Korean embassy in China had been notified. A family member told South Korea's national broadcaster KBS on Tuesday that he was detained by the Hefei State Security Department in December. The family received an official notice saying that A was detained on December 18th on suspicion of espionage. The family said A was held in a hotel and interrogated for 5 months, and the Chinese Ministry of State Security took over the case in May this year. The family said A suffers from diabetes and cannot obtain medication. This is the first South Korean national to be detained on espionage charges since the revised Chinese counter-espionage law came into effect in July last year. South Korea's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said it is providing consular services to the engineer and his family. The Chinese Communist Party's comprehensive revision of the counter-espionage law expands the scope of enforcement, and prohibits the unauthorized transfer of any so-called documents, data, and information related to national security and interests. Ben Forney, a researcher at Seoul National University, told the Financial Times that, given that Chongqing Storage's memory technology lags behind South Korea, it seems unlikely that Mr. A has benefited from leaking trade secrets to South Korean competitors. Forney pointed out that South Korea is carrying out a campaign to crack down on China's acquisition of South Korean technology. Earlier this month, South Korea launched the latest package of measures to detect and punish leaking technology to China. 10 of the 12 such cases registered by the National Police Agency this year were destined for China. Last month, Choi Jin-seok, a former Samsung executive who once ran a Chinese chip manufacturing company, was detained on new charges of stealing chip processing technology. Choi has been the subject of a high-profile industrial espionage trial since July 2023 that highlights South Korea's efforts to combat industrial espionage. Choi denies any wrongdoing. Jaemin Lee, a trade expert at Seoul National University, told the Financial Times, "The competition between South Korea and China in the chip field is intensifying. South Korean companies in industries such as electric vehicle batteries, steel, and petrochemicals have launched legal counterattacks against China's intellectual property theft, stepping up anti-dumping and patent infringement complaints against Chinese competitors. Last week, LG Chem, the parent company of LG Energy Solution, South Korea's leading battery producer, filed a patent infringement lawsuit in Seoul against the South Korean subsidiary of the Chinese battery materials company Ronbae. In addition, the move by China could prevent South Korean companies from investing and operating in China. Previously, an executive of Astellas Pharma was arrested by China on similar charges, leading to the evacuation of Japanese expatriates from China. Analysis from Goldman Sachs. 5 Chinese industries are in serious crisis. Goldman Sachs Group of the United States analyzed the supply and demand trends of solar photovoltaic panels, lithium-ion batteries, air conditioners, electric vehicles, EVs, construction machinery, steel, and power semiconductors in China. Among these, except for steel and power semiconductors, the other 5 industries have fallen into global overcapacity. An excess production capacity will lead to many consequences. When supply significantly exceeds demand, technology dumping or downsizing will inevitably occur, potentially leading to instability and crisis. Japanese media reported that the most serious overcapacity is in solar photovoltaic panels. China's supply capacity has reached 1,036 gigawatts, which is 1.9 times the global demand of 533 gigawatts in 2023. It is expected that China's supply capacity will continue to exceed global demand beyond 2024. Solar photovoltaic panels are a typical equipment industry. The larger the production scale, the lower the unit cost. This was once a field where Japanese companies stood out, but because they could not keep up with the investment competition of Chinese companies, Japanese firms were forced to withdraw from the market. China's global market share has now reached 86%. China's lithium-ion batteries and electric vehicles, which lead the world in technological competition, are also in overcapacity. China's electric vehicle production capacity has reached 1.2 times the global demand for electric vehicles. The supply capacity of lithium batteries is 3.3 times domestic demand and 1.5 times global demand. To cope with the confrontation between China and the United States and increase production capacity in strategic areas, China began promoting expanded investment in high-end manufacturing industries such as electric vehicles and artificial intelligence, AI, in 2023. In this situation, companies have actively invested. Local governments also support these investments by selling land use rights at low prices and providing tax incentives and subsidies. According to estimates by the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, China issued subsidies totaling about $170 billion between 2009 and 2022. Buyer terminates transaction. Evergrande Auto loses last life-saving money. On the evening of October 25th, China Evergrande and Evergrande Auto both issued announcements, stating they had received notices from potential sellers and have decided to stop all discussions with potential buyers regarding possible share transfers. They have decided not to proceed with any potential share transfers. China Evergrande announced that the potential seller is continuing to seek possible buyers and explore feasible opportunities to sell the potential seller's shares in the new energy vehicle group. However, as of the date of this announcement, no agreement, arrangement, or understanding has been reached with any potential buyer, nor has any definite opportunity been found. To outsiders, the withdrawal of the potential buyer is undoubtedly adding insult to injury for Evergrande Auto, which is deeply in debt crisis. Daily economic news suggests this may indicate that Evergrande Auto has lost its last life-saving straw. Notably, this is not the first time a potential investor in Evergrande Auto has exited midway. In August last year, Evergrande Auto announced it had received the first strategic investment of $500 million from Newton Group, a listed company backed by the UAE Sovereign Fund. An additional 600 million renminbi in transitional funds was expected in succession from 5 working days after the announcement. The proposed transaction between the two parties was set to be completed in the fourth quarter of 2023, after which Newton Group's shareholding in Evergrande Auto would account for 27.5% of the total common shares issued after the expansion. To many, this investment from Newton Group was viewed as life-saving money for Evergrande Auto, which has suffered losses for years. However, on the evening of October 8, 2023, Evergrande Auto announced that due to changes at China Evergrande, strategic investor Newton Group had suspended its transitional funding support for the company and was renegotiating the necessary adjustments to the proposed transaction plan. On April 5 of this year, the strategic investment agreement between Evergrande Auto and Newton Group was officially terminated. According to a Yikai report, an announcement issued by Evergrande Auto in May indicated the company might soon secure a new white knight. At that time, Evergrande Auto said that its issued 29% shares would be immediately acquired by a third-party buyer, potential buyer. As per the announcement, the potential buyer and seller would sign a credit agreement. The potential buyer would provide Evergrande Auto with a credit line to fund the continued operation and development of Evergrande Auto Group's electric vehicle business. Previously, according to statistics from the Chinese Communist Party government, in September, the profits of China's industrial enterprises above designated size fell by 27% year-on-year. On October 27th, official economic data released by the Chinese Communist Party showed that in September, the profits of China's industrial enterprises above designated size fell by 27.1% year-on-year, marking the second consecutive month of decline. The National Bureau of Statistics of the Communist Party of China reported on its official website on the 27th that the profits of industrial enterprises above designated size fell by 27.1% year-on-year in September, an increase of 9.3 percentage points from August. Additionally, the asset-liability ratio of industrial enterprises above designated size rose by 0.1 percentage point to 57.7% at the end of September.